it. It was this idea that President Biden's predecessor, former President Trump, that he politicized the idea of wearing masks, that he floated all sorts of issues when it came to what could actually treat the coronavirus.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. There's been a trend in the leftist media over the past several weeks to take some shots and slam Florida or Governor Ron DeSantis every chance they get, no matter how remote the connection.
In fact, waterways around the world became clearer and cleaner, but those gains could start to fade in just a few weeks because that's when the cruise industry plans to get ships back out onto the seas. It's big business in Florida.
See, cruise liners from around the world are launching, contaminating the ocean's waters, and it's all the fault of Ron DeSantis in Florida. They fear him just a little too much. This Monday, we learned from ABC's Good Morning America that rap concerts in Florida could spread COVID, but folk festivals in Rhode Island, those are a good thing.
The number of COVID cases surging nationwide as crowds flock to this musical festival in Florida, one of the hardest hit states.
Rise and shine, and good morning from Rhode Island. We're rocking and rolling live from the Ocean State. Lara is there live.
Just in case the leftist media doesn't make it clear, Florida rap concerts bad.
If you can hear me, make some noise.
This morning, the show goes on amid the spread of the Delta variant. Officials warning those who attended this hip-hop festival in South Florida about the rising number of coronavirus cases in the state.
Rhode Island folk concerts, awesome.
Yeah, George, I am live, and it is on here at Fort Adams in Newport, Rhode Island. We are celebrating the return of live music. In fact, the Newport Folk Festival is the first major music festival to open in the country post-pandemic.
The crowd on its feet, rejoicing as live music returns to Newport.
Does this come across as even a little bit racist? No. I'm sure Rhode Island just doesn't have any COVID cases this week.
Community transmission is increasing over the past 2 weeks.
The health department reporting 145 new cases today, the highest one-day total since May 12th.
How did Good Morning America miss that? Interesting little factoid on the local newscast there. It seems those lefty network newscasts do miss a lot. I mean, as much as they are very concerned about COVID and they're proudly backing the CDC's reversal on mask mandates, they kind of miss things like Biden's policy of releasing illegals who have tested COVID positive into American communities. On Wednesday, this news broke, but the leftist network's evening newscasts were really busy. They found some other really important issues that needed to be covered.
End of an era. We say goodbye to Arthur, the longest-running children's animated TV series. And we'll meet a wildlife photographer on a mission to save America's wild horses by giving them their close-up.
This is the CBS Evening News.
Yes, indeed it is. Please call CBS directly and let them know how you feel about their news coverage or their lack of actual news being covered, especially when it might hurt that Biden administration. You know, sometimes you have to wonder if these leftist talking heads are even aware of actual news. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace happily pushes Pelosi's January 6th messaging event this week, comparing the GOP to terrorists in as much of a fact-free manner as possible.
I think the security questions of the Republican Party as a domestic terror threat that were raised by the police officers whose political affiliation is unknown should be front and center for the Democrats.
Of course you do, but my favorite part.
I think the security questions of the Republican Party as a domestic terror threat that were raised by the police officers whose political affiliation is unknown.
Really, Nicole? It's unknown? Maybe Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn's Twitter account is a little too complicated for Nicole's level of reading comprehension. Or maybe she's willfully ignoring the obvious. Perhaps Nicole could guess the political stance of a man that referred to President Trump as the racist in chief and went after Ben Carson. But maybe that's asking too much. She is an MSNBC employee after all, and having a grasp on reality clearly is not a job requirement there.
There's a real live handmaiden on the Supreme Court. It feels like we're 10 minutes from living in Gilead.
Tiffany Cross comparing Justice Amy Coney Barrett to a handmaid from A Handmaid's Tale, complete with a breaking news banner, because that's certainly news and not somebody's opinion. MSNBC also working overtime to bring you news. They know Who to blame for the CDC calling for a return to masks under the Biden administration?
President Biden's predecessor, former President Trump, that he politicized the idea of wearing masks, that he floated all sorts of issues when it came to what could actually treat the coronavirus. And then finally, when the vaccine that he had been pushing scientists to develop, when it was finally ready, he didn't do the real work of trying to convince his supporters to get vaccinated and left states flat-footed when it came to how to distribute that vaccine. So, of course, the Biden administration now is having to contend with the idea that they're having to tell vaccinated people that they told, if you follow the rules, you'll be able to get this great thing in July, which is a sense of normalcy and your mask off. That is all now being reversed.
So the Biden administration reversing what they previously said, that's Trump's fault. It just couldn't be that Joe has little to no clue on what's going on. I mean, maybe Joe's mind is just on the road.
Anyway,
and if we
I
don't
used to drive an 18-wheeler, man.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I could.
Oh, despite no evidence that he ever drove 18-wheelers during his lifetime career living off taxpayers, the leftist media sees no reason to question Joe's claims, his memory, or his mental acuity.
Back in 2009, during the so-called Great Recession, the president asked me to be in charge of managing that piece, then President Trump. Excuse me, Freudian slip. That was the last president. He caused, anyway, that was...
It doesn't seem so long ago that the press was very, very concerned about matters like this.
Mannix display something called flight of ideas. It's a formal thought disorder in which ideas tumble forth through a disordered chain of associations. One word sparks another, which sparks another, and they're off to the races.
I wonder what happened.
But there's, there to be, beginning this effort for 2021 is, I think we've learned a few lessons from last year as well.
I don't think the media's learned its lesson, do you? That's all the time we have. I'm Eric Shiner for MRC-TV, asking you to check out the great goodies available at the MRC Store. Visit MRCTV.org as well for some great stories, more videos. Please like, share, and subscribe on the social media platform of your choice, especially Rumble, folks. We'll return in 2 weeks with more leftist media madness.
What must be what?